Gamer Braves. What's up, everyone? This is Wan Amirul from Gamer Braves. I just spent my whole weekend playing Wild Hearts. And it was good. For those of you who are not aware, the hunting genre is kind of like a subfaction of the action games genre, and it's weird. Hypothetically, it's one of the easiest subgenres to monetize because the entire game is built around the grind. It's what people like. Yet, the moment you try to make it kind of live servicey, it tends to fall apart. It's part of why Monster Hunter remains the only really big title. But now that's different because we got Wild Hearts. And let me tell you, all of Wild Heart's strengths comes from the fact that it knows this. It pretty much understands that the hunting genre has to be a little weird, and it rolls with it. One of the most unique things that the game has going for it is the Karakuri system. We talked about this before. It's basically Fortnite. You can build things and they will help you in your hunt. They can be like boxes to jump off of or giant hammers to smash people with. It's great. My favorite thing about it removes the most frustrating part of Monster Hunter, which is the downtime. You don't have to spend time crafting flash pods or whatever because as long as you have Karakuri strings, now you have every tool you need. Is that jerk of a bird flying? Flashbang him. Is that rat pulling too many ads out? Blow him up. It's great! The other thing that I really like about Wild Hearts, it's also a little crazy with it. Monster Hunter is a game about absurd weapons, and Wild Hearts was like, guess we are too. My main gripe is that you don't unlock the full roster at the start of the game like you would in a Monster Hunter game. Instead, some of the weapons are locked off until after you finish the game's first chapter. The problem I have with this is that, well, you better be some damn good weapons if you're gonna make me fight the freaking lava back before I get to have them. Enter the Karakuri staff. Oh my god! I didn't think that this game would have its own version of the switch axe, and yet there it was. It's a beautiful, beautiful weapon that's all about doing morph attacks into changing stances. It is so much fun. The only thing it's missing is the giant explosion that the switch axe has, but even then it's got what they call the Juggernaut Blade. The Juggernaut Blade! It's such a great name! It does this cool kind of red and black fire thing. It's like you're using Malekith's Black Blade from Elden Ring. It rules. It's one of the greatest weapons I've ever seen in a video game, and I'm so glad that Wild Hearts added it in. Because when I first saw the weapon lineup, I was kind of like, eh. I thought I'd really like the umbrella, but the problem is the umbrella is that it demands too much aggression. The parry timing is super weird, and you basically lose meter the moment the monster's not even looking at you, which is not ideal. Overall, combat-wise, if you're used to a Monster Hunter game, you know how the combat's gonna work. You need to learn the dodge timings, you need to learn how to deal with the monsters, and once you get really good at it, figure out how you can use the Karakuri to enhance it. My favorite thing to do is what I like to call the hammer punish. Basically, learn every monster's patterns well enough that you know the exact time that you can drop a hammer and just lynch them out with it. It's great. It works for the Looney Tunes, it worked for Cain and Abel, it works here. The one thing I was especially nervous about when any other developer tries to approach a genre like the hunting genre is how they're going to handle gear. Ever since people found out that you could monetize the Diablo loot system, that's always been my biggest fear, is having genres that are about the gameplay suddenly be turned into, well, this purple sword gets you plus 2% on your dodge roll and 3% on your attack. Like, that's not great. That's not what this genre is about. And thankfully, Wild Hearts realizes that as well. The crafting system is actually pretty ingenious. With weapons, you kind of have, instead of a tree, it's more like a web. Imagine a tree by tree grid, and you can plot your upgrade path along those because you carry skills forwards in most weapons. Instead of going straight down the tree, you will want to occasionally branch left or right just to pick up an additional skill. I kind of wish this also carried over to the armor system. It's pretty much like a modern Monster Hunter game where, you know, each armor piece comes with a skill, and yet somehow I've killed a good chunk of the roster and there are still armor pieces that don't give skills. What even is the point of that? Worst part is, the game kind of further obfuscates this with the Kemono path and human path, which is how you upgrade gear. It changes it cosmetically and doesn't really do all that much, or as much as I'd want it to anyways. It kind of plays into what, in my opinion, is Wild Heart's biggest flaw. It very much has this air of, this is a Monster Hunter game for grown-ups. as they, sit around and watch Zack Snyder's Justice League or something. It's very much missing the whimsy of the Monster Hunter games. And that's good for setting it apart, but your mileage will vary on how much you like it. This does manifest in some weird ways. I particularly don't like the creatures' names. First of all, they're called Kemono, which is fine, that's a Japanese word for beast. But then the actual names themselves are some of the most boring generic things you've ever seen. Like there's things called Rage Tail or, Fume Beak. Like they're very boring. To be fair, Monster Hunter names its things nonsense like Congalala and Kekawaka. What do those mean? Nobody knows. On one hand, the names in Wild Hearts do feel more descriptive. You hear the word Rage Tail, you can kind of imagine what that's going to be. You hear Congalala, did you know it was a giant baboon? I bet you didn't. And yet, there it is. But it just kind of feels corporate. It feels very lifeless as a result. There's also the game's story. The game's story is significantly more serious, and I don't like it. It's easily the worst part of the game. Sometimes characters will pull you aside to talk about things like, I think he murdered this man, or the drama about the samurai and all that, and I don't care. Just point me towards the next rat that I'm gonna have to kill and turn into a nice pair of boots. Still, even these aren't a huge chunk of the game. At least there's no walking and talking quests. Having to talk to people in between quests is a pain, but at least the game knows that when it's time to hunt, guess what? It's time to hunt. So, grab your scouting tower, grab your sword, and let's go kill some stuff. Wild Hearts gets an 8 out of 10 from us. I said it the last time, but the hunting genre is one that needs some competition, and I think Wild Hearts is the best shake we're gonna get at it. It's a genuinely fun game, and the combat loop is good. The fact that the Karakuri system acts as a sort of like safety net for all weapons to have access to good tools is an innovative way to change up the gameplay. Sure, your umbrella doesn't do much damage if you're not at level 3, but you can summon tools to fix that. The weapons themselves, while not having as robust a moveset as some Monster Hunter games, are also pretty cleverly designed. I especially like the gun, which is a good example of this, where it can just drop an item that buffs the shooting and then the shooting buffs the mortar shell. It just works. A lot of the weapons are designed in this kind of way where they have a simple win condition, so to speak, and it just feels good to do because it never gets to the level of complexion as something like Charge Blade or Insect Glaive, where you practically need a wiki guide open all times to use them. Still, like I said, the biggest problem is the fear that the game takes itself too seriously. I'd much rather see future content for Wild Hearts that just leans into how much fun you can have with the game rather than, we explored the lore here, we want to see what happens to the mountain tribe. It's like, no, unless the mountain tribe gives me Gatling guns and, a giant boat anchor, I don't want to hear anything about the story. What's your favorite monster hunting game? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Wan Amirul from Game Braves. Now, I gotta go because I want to keep playing this game. It's been a while since the game has had its hooks in me that deep, but this is one of them. Take care, guys. Hey there! Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to give us a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and like so we know what kind of content you want to see. Got suggestions for new content? Let us know in the comments below too. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, dudes.